Hello everyone, this is day 11 of 69 days of code. My name is Rajat Upadhyay and today we are going to look into yet another interesting topic in software engineering, which is called Swagger API documentation. Now, most of you may already have heard of what is Swagger API documentation, right? You must know how to create documentation of all your endpoints for your APIs, whichever you're creating in whichever language. It's Swagger. And today we are going to look into Swagger API documentation as well as what is ReDoc and how is ReDoc used over Swagger to make our API documentation looking better, to look better, right? So and now I don't want you to think that this is a sort of a simple topic and it's just documentation. It's actually a very serious topic, guys. So I want you to get serious about it. Okay, so let's get serious. Okay, now we are serious. We are doing serious business. So let's look into API documentation with Swagger today. And without wasting much time, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to start right away. Okay, so what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to go to the Swagger official website. Okay, Okay, let's first search for Swagger online. Right, so it's saying Swagger is an interface description language for describing RESTful API expressed using JSON. In simple words, it is a documentation for your APIs, right? And it can give you the data output both in JSON as well as in XML, right? Or you can say the code can be in JSON as well as YAML, and your output in which you are sending the request to the user, that can be in JSON as well as XML. So there are different ways in which you can do it. And let's open swagger.io, their official website. And there are a bunch of stuff. Okay, we don't need to look into that. They're just saying, okay, these are people use our API documentation service. Okay, what we need to do is we need to go directly to editor.swagger.io. And this is the place where we can edit our own APIs. We can create documentation for our own APIs. What you see on the screen right now is a dummy API documentation that Swagger itself has given to us. We can edit this or we can completely remove this and start from scratch. Okay, but completely removing it and starting from scratch doesn't really make any sense, because this is a very beautifully created document, right? This document has been created keeping in mind all the structures that Swagger follows. And so it is much more helpful if you edit this and create your API over this instead of removing all the code and then creating your code from scratch, right? So what this file format is, format is YAML format. What you see on the left hand side, this is YAML, right? YAML format. And what you see on the right side is the output of this YAML format. Again, you can create this API in JSON format also, right? You can just extract and save it as a JSON file, okay, and edit in JSON. But believe me, it is much easier to do it in YAML format as compared to JSON format. Again, it depends on the preference of the developer. So let's look into this. So we have first point, Swagger 2.0. So it is defining which version of Swagger it is using, 2.0. We don't need to do anything with it. Just leave it as it is. Info, within the info key, we have the description, right? Or even before looking into this, let's look on the right hand side and let's see what the API documentation is showing us. So it is showing that it is Swagger pet store, some pet store, right? It is a pet store where you can see pets, right? Dogs and cats. And it is an API for such a online application. Now there is a description over here, okay, and then there is a base URL. So this description gives a description of your API. What is the API about? Okay, then there are different links that you can add: terms of service, contact the developer, Apache, license, right? Finding more about Swagger and different. Now, if you scroll down, there are different schemes: HTTP or HTTPS, whichever scheme you want to choose, you can define it inside your document. Okay, and whether you want to authorize the user who accesses the API or not, right? Then we have the different endpoints or different resources, you can call it in API terms, right? So if I close them right now one by one, instead of expanding them, you can see that there are three resources mainly: a pet resource, a store resource, and a user resource. Okay, and below that there are different models, right? So order model, category, user, tag, pet, API response. We'll look into all of them, what they are. Okay, just fine. So let's close them right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the pet and I'm going to look at the first API endpoint inside the pet resource, which is /pet post request add a new pet to the store, right? So it gives everything very, very beautifully, right? And you can look at this. If you click on this, it will open up everything. It will show you the type of body, what is going inside the body. Okay, So this goes inside the body, the ID, the category, okay, and the name of the dog, which is doggy, okay, the photos, URLs, okay, it's an array. Then there are tags, okay, then there is status available or not available, out of stock, okay. I don't know if that term out of stock applies to dogs and cats, but anyways, okay. And then you will see all the different types of responses as well. So 405 invalid input, here they only have one response. You can have multiple response, a success response, a failure response, a non-authorized response, values missing in the input body, invalid input response, different type of response, okay. Again, you have it in different formats. You have it in JSON and XML. So the best part of this is you don't need to write your body both in JSON and XML separately. You can just write it in JSON once. You can define the structure of your body along with the example, okay, and it will convert. So I will automatically convert it to JSON and XML like this. And similarly for response as well. So JSON and XML. Right now there is no response body as in, right? So we don't see any difference, but we can see it in the body. It's an XML response, a request, and a JSON request. Okay, so whichever way you prefer it, you can keep it. You can also remove JSON and just keep XML. You can remove XML. You can just keep JSON. Depends on you. So let's start by creating a very simple documentation for our. Let's say we have a e-commerce website. Okay, and we have products. Okay, products. So let's create for that. So instead of pet, I want products. So if you look over here, okay, let's start with this description. This is an API for my e-commerce website. Okay, just add it in the description and it will show it over here. And let's say there are some terms of service, contact the developer. So I'll just put my email address over here. And whenever I click on it, this contact the developer, it will show on the bottom left side. If you look at the browser, bottom left side, it will show mail to and Rajat is 1999@gmail.com. So it will show my email address, right? You can add the license if you have any, okay. And then the host, this host is the base URL, right? So what will be the base URL for, let's say, YouTube, right? It will be youtube.com, okay. And over that, it can be youtube.com/video/this, youtube.com/watch/something, right? So base URL is this one. You can put the base URL, the host over here, and it will show here. Okay, base URL youtube.com/v2. Why is it showing v2? Because I put a base path over here. What is the base path? So /v2 is included in everything. Let's say /v1 because this is our first API. Okay, and there are different tags. Okay, see these tags appear over here, right? Pet tag, store tag, user tag. So you can see pet tag, store tag, user tag, different type of tags. Instead of the pet tag, I'm going to enter products tag. Okay, inside my e-commerce, I want to have a products API. Okay, adding products, and I'm going to write here everything about products. Okay, so everything about products, you get a description. Find out more. So it is a link to an external documentation. Okay, right now I don't have any external documentation, so remove it. Name store, name user, I just remove them. Okay, we don't need anything else. We just need the products right now. So only the products. So you can see there is product, there is pet, store, user. So these three are still there because there is some code below which is referencing to these tags. Once we remove that code, all the three resources will go away. For now, let's just keep them. Okay, as we go ahead, we'll see. Again, schemas, whether you have HTTP, HTTPS only, or so just or both of the schemas you have, both of the protocols you have, you can enter them over here. Right now I have both. Paths. Okay, so first path is /pet. Instead, I'll make /products. Okay. Post, yes, it's a post request. Tags, which tag does it belong to? Remember, we put a tag over here, right? So it belongs to the products tag. So we'll enter over here products tag. So this is our first path. Okay, this is our first path, or you can say first endpoint. Okay. Summary: add a new pet to the store. I'll say add a new product to the store. Okay. Operation ID, add pet, consumes JSON and XML. Let's remove XML for now. Okay, I'll remove XML for now. Produces only JSON. It only consumes JSON. It only produces JSON. Okay. Now parameters inside the body. Name is body, description. So this is going to take it is accepting your body, right? So it is saying inside the body. Okay, inside the request body, it is going to take body whose name is body. Required is true, and it is putting a description. Okay. So pet object that needs to be added to the database. It's a product object that needs to be added to the store. Okay, then it is referring to a particular schema, a pet schema. What is this pet schema? This pet schema is the schema which has the complete format of how the object, how the request body should look like. Okay, so it's like the blueprint of how the request body should look like. And right now it is named pet, so I'll change it to product, and then I'm going to go below all the way down. Okay, and search for definitions. Okay, and inside definitions there is an order one. Okay, So I'm going to remove this order right now. Okay, let's keep this order. Okay, and I'll go to this pet one. This is a pet which we are referring to. Okay, I'm going to make it product. Okay, so now we have the product schema or product blueprint. Okay, and now it is saying it is a type of object. Okay, yes, we know it is a type of JSON object. It has given two properties, name and photo URLs, which are required properties. Okay, I'm going to comment them out. I have not defined my properties yet. Now, inside the properties, we can define, inside the properties tag, we can define all the properties that we are going to add to our Swagger request body. So let's do that. There is an ID, type integer, format int64, category. Okay, sorry. ID, this is the ID is over, right? So what is it defining? It is defining that there is a ID which should be included in the request body, right? What is the type of ID? Integer, format is integer 64, base 64, okay? And there is a next is category. There should be a category, okay? And let's, for simplicity, let's keep it type for now. Category is a type of string, okay? So there is an ID of product, okay, which is of type integer. There is a category of product which is of type string. There is a name of product type string, and there is an example doggy. Okay, they have also given an example with for us. Okay, so instead of doggy, I'm going to write here sunglasses because that's what I'm wearing right now. Although there is no sun over here in my room, but still feels cool and serious. Photo URLs. Okay, let's say there is a photo URL. Okay, and type is array. Okay, and I'm going to remove this XML for now. Okay, and I'm going to say items is type of string. Okay, type is array, and the items that will be inside that array. Okay, items that will be inside that array is of type string. That's what it means. Tags, let's remove that for now. Okay, we are going to keep it very minimalistic. Remember, our work over here in this video is to understand how Swagger works, not to complicate it. Okay, status, or you can say stock. Okay, and it will be an integer. It will just define that how many items are present right now. Okay, inside that, and I'm going to comment this enum out right now. Okay, it will be an integer, and it is going to show how many products are over there in our store right now. 0 products, 1 product, 2 products. But how many number of products do we have? I'm going to say product count in the store. Okay, so we have completely defined it. Now, if I look at this product and expand it, you can see our first route is over there, right? Products route, and our description is over there, which is add a new product to the store, right? Just give me 1 second. If I click on it and expand it, you can see our request body is over there. Product object that needs to be added to the store. Description is right. There is an ID, there is a category of string, there is a name of sunglasses, photo URL string, stock 0. Okay, and in this category also you can define an example. So let's go just like in the name we have defined an example, sunglasses. In the category, let's go over there. In the category section, this is the category, and I'm going to add example, and let's say accessories or wears. You know, there is no accessories. I hope the spelling of accessories right. Accessories, right? Yes, it's correct. Okay, accessories. So you can see over here now the category has been changed to accessories. In this ID also we can add an example. Example is 1. The ID is 1. So you can see ID is 1. Okay. Photo URLs. There are no examples right now, right? There are no examples in this right now. So just leave it for now. Okay. In the stock, we can add an example. Okay. How many items we have? Let's say we have 43 items of sunglasses right now. So you can see it is appearing over here, right? Awesome, cool stuff, right? Response. Let's go back up into our /products route. Okay, /products route. And here are the different responses, right? Response 405. Let's start with response 500. Okay, and I'm going to call it internal server error. Let's say some error occurred while accessing the API. Then I'm going to add second response 400. Okay, and I'm going to call it invalid input. And I guess there is a 403 which says not authorized or something. Not authorized. Okay. And finally, there is a happy one, which is 200, which is product successfully added to the store. Okay. So just like success. Just like success. Okay. So you can see all the responses have come over here: 200 success response, 400 invalid, 403 not authorized, 500 internal server response. And it doesn't matter how I wrote them, right? I wrote 500 first, but over here it is appearing 500 last based on the status codes, which is really amazing. Okay, you can even define the schemas like this. We have the schema for request, right? So you can even define a schema and put the schema over here, and you can define that schema down below. Okay, and that schema will appear over here then. Okay, so you can do that also. So this is very, very basic Swagger documentation. Okay, if you want to learn more about Swagger documentations, I'll provide a link in the README of the GitHub repo. The link for the GitHub repo you'll find in the description box. Go to the GitHub repo, go to code, go to day 11 Swagger documentation. Look at the README. You will find a video that will explain everything about it, which I myself learned from. Okay, so that is one. Now let's remove everything else. So whatever else, all the other requests we don't need. Okay, careful enough not to remove the definitions. Okay, now inside the definitions also I'll remove the security definitions also, and inside the documentations I'll remove the order and the category and the user and the tag. Then there is a product and there's the API response. I'll remove that also. And then at the end, there is an external doc, find more about Swagger. I'll just write here, find more about step apps. Okay. This is my own startup. So stepapps.in. Okay. You'll find more about it here. There is an error over here. Security requirements. Okay. There is a security, there are some security authorizations also available over here, which you can learn about on the official documentation or separately on some videos. Okay, right now I'm going to comment it out. Okay, and this is our final Swagger documentation for one single endpoint. Okay, so products, inside the products we have post route, and in the models we have the products model. So the schema for that model, right? This is a schema. Okay, simple enough. This is how you can create documentations on Swagger. Okay, you can go over here and you can save as YAML or save as JSON, whichever way you like it. Okay, so just save it as YAML and convert and save as JSON, whichever way you like it. Okay, then you can use ReDoc also. Okay, so if I, okay, let me show you something. So this is our official documentation, right? This is our official documentation for Swagger, right? You can host it somewhere using static hosting. Okay, you have the JSON file. And if I go to ReDoc, right? So I want to look at ReDoc with Swagger. ReDoc is actually used to make your Swagger look much better. Okay, there is a particular piece of code that you have to enter like this. Okay, and everything else will be handled. Just copy it. Okay, and let's go to CodePen, or not CodePen. I'll just create it on my local. So create a folder over here. Okay, then go to, then let's just open it up in VS Code. You know what, this really hurts having this sunglasses on all the time. Just put on my computer glasses and create an index.html. Okay, and paste it over here. And instead of specifying ReDoc's URL as here, I'll just say swagger.json. I'm going to put the code over here itself, right? So let's go to downloads, pick up our swagger.json file. This one is the latest. Okay, and we have a new folder somewhere here, and just rename it to swagger.json like this. Okay, let's open this. Oh, sorry, my screen is not shared. Oh, that's so sad. 1 second. Share my whole screen. Okay, so this is what I've done. I have created an index.html file over here. Okay, and I have put that in this code I have copy pasted from the internet, right? The website that we were visiting right now, this website. Okay, from here from the swagger.io website, right? And then what I did is in the spec-URL, instead of this URL, I pasted my swagger.json, which is in my local, right? This swagger.json, you should refer to this swagger.json file. So let's copy this index.html and paste it over here. Oh, don't tell me I have to start a server. Maybe it's /swagger.json. That's so sad. You just go back like this and refresh it. Still saying it's loading, waiting for right. Finally. Okay. So this is the pet store again. Okay. So this is a pet store one, and you can see that it has a very much nicer interface. Right, and you can download it or you can go through it, and on the right hand side it will show the API documentation. You must have seen it in some of the API documentation, maybe, right, that you've seen on the internet. So this is how ReDoc helps. ReDoc makes your Swagger documentation look much better. There's a sidebar over here. You can visit them from here, and you can see them over on the right and the middle also, right? So Swagger makes your API much better looking. Okay, and if you need to host your own API, you will need to either create a XAMPP server, okay, which you can see on the internet how to create a XAMPP server. Inside the htdocs folder, you can put your content, okay, and you can call it from there. Or you have a better way is you can host your Swagger API documentation somewhere like this, okay. Host this JSON file somewhere, okay, and refer to it here. So that way you can refer it and access it, right? If so yeah, this is all about it, right? This is an API documentation. And why is API documentation so much necessary? It makes you a better developer overall, right? You can become a better developer by documenting whatever you're creating before you are creating it, right? So in that way, you can refer to what you are creating by referring to the documentation instead of just changing it on the fly, right? And you can keep the documentation updated as well. So that is really good. Also, if you explain it in interviews that you have created a documentation for your API, right? It comes across very impressive. Okay, I was asked these questions multiple times, and I had not created it at that time because I just felt like documentation is a very boring stuff. But guys, this is serious stuff, and this is amazing stuff. Like creating documentation, it's amazing. So you should do it. And if you are creating your own API documentations just like me, don't forget to put it on the GitHub repo of 69DOC, 69 days of code. You will find the link in the description box. Go to the contributions folder, fork the repo, create a pull request. I'll accept it. Okay. Contributions are already coming in. Let me just share my screen and show you. So this is the repo. This is my GitHub account. Okay. And this is the repo. It's repositories 69DOC. You will find this link in the description box below. You can access it over there. Okay. Inside the code folder, inside day 11 Swagger and ReDoc, you will find the code that I have written today. Okay. And if you want to participate and do your own 69 days of code or 30 days of code or 100 days of code or 365 days of code, you can go to contributions folder. Okay, fork it from here, create your own folder here, just like there are different folders, Akash, Aditej, Arjun, Sean Doe, Mohil, Shaurya, okay. You can create your own folder over here, create a pull request and put it over here, okay. So in this way, you will have sort of like a contribution in participating in one of the open source projects. This is sort of open source projects that I'm creating, okay. Its purpose is to learn, okay. So that's what it is. And if you participate, don't forget to put the code over here. This is Swagger and ReDoc. And we are done today. Thanks for watching.